thought we were live like earlier too, but okay, we are live now. We have Michael from Fish Easy here in the live chat, and we're trying a new format. Once a month, we're gonna have a podcast that is gonna basically talk about what's happening in aquarium biz, and also where you can find our fish as well. We're going to talk about different things that's happening, and different topics that I think Michael and myself believe are relevant and important in the hobby. So it's going to be an hour long podcast. We will have a question and answer section later on in the video, so watch till then and save your questions till then, and we will get to them at that point, because if you just ask them now, we might miss them. So you can ask them now as well, but we are going to talk about different things first. So I'm going to let Michael come in and explain to you guys and girls about aquarium biz and what it is about. And yeah, so Michael.
Well, it's great to be together, and actually, in this format, is something that you and I and all the others can kind of get a better grasp of exactly what is involved in running a fish room with 3,000 gallons of water.
Yeah.
Not just 3,000 gallons of water. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay. But
loud and
it's
clear.
also a lot of tanks, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of coordination. And I think
Yes.
it's important to have a lot of coordination because coordination is something that just has to exist. If two people are going to work in the same fish room, if there was no coordination, things would not happen, and other things would probably fall apart. Maybe they wouldn't exist the way they are, but it has to be for smooth running.
Yeah,
So
but how
what
would
we
you
do,
know if the fish were fed and when they were fed and if you needed to feed them and you know things like that? I totally get it. Yes.
right? And I think that there's also good organization needed, and some of the different strengths that each one of us brings to the table, whether it's expertise within the fish, whether it's certain species of an experience with those species, or in effect sharing of knowledge back and forth, bouncing things off you and me.
Well, you're
That
also
has
really
helped
good with the baby
immensely.
fish, so that's a huge asset. Like, and like it requires a lot of patience, and like you can see behind you, there's a lot of baby fish, thousands, I think. And for me, it's difficult to be patient and also dedicate all the time for them. You seem to have a lot more patience than myself with them, so it's a huge asset there.
Well, I have learned that patience is very much required because, for example, this week I put together three tanks with three pairs of fish, each one hoping to get a big spawn. And it turns out that two tanks came up zilcho. And, basically, you got to be patient. I've learned that having three tanks, at least one of them proved to be um, successful, so that's the better benefit. But back to your question, basically, aquarium.biz is a conglomeration between two actual channels. It's actually your expertise as the channel Aqua Malik, and then there's also my channel, which is Fish EZ, Fish EZ. And so with that conglomeration together, we make up what we just refer to as the conglomeration or aquarium.biz.
Yeah, and I think people should subscribe to that as well. We have a YouTube channel for Aquarium Biz. I think it's at Aquarium Biz. Very straightforward. BIZ. Easy to find. And also, if you're not subscribed to Fish Easy's channel, please subscribe. It's a wealth of knowledge, and I think you're about to open memberships as well. Yes.
That's a good thing that you mentioned that because, in effect, I checked the membership list. We're at 1,994
So
as
six more
of right now.
subscribers.
Six
Yeah.
more members, and I'll be hitting a milestone. And with
Yeah.
that milestone, I'm going to be opening up memberships because it turns out that the things I use on my videos are quite different than the videos that you have. And the
Yes.
videos that I have are, and I'm going to be sharing with the members, are actually in the depth behind the scenes aspects of what it requires or what it takes to breed small fish from very, very small fry, which I have experience with the Sudamogal rainbow fish. Those are very
Oh yeah.
small. I also have a lot of experience with the specific fish that are barbs or other egg scatterers, and those are very small fish. In fact,
Even
when
some
they're
of
born,
the like the glow light barbs or the Daniels that you have.
Daniels.
Yeah, those guys, they're not a big fish. They're a tiny fish. So I would assume their
Yeah,
babies to be quite small.
yeah. When they're small, when they're first born, and just like other egg scatterers, they're very small, and so the arsenal that one needs put together to target certain kinds of fish are important. For example, I use baby brine shrimp for the angelfish that come through here in the nursery. And the angelfish, as soon as they're born, they're big enough to eat the um, small baby brine shrimp. But many fish are not big enough to eat those. And so I have to use some other smaller foods. And I've been very successful at cultivating and helping others to be successful too with the use of paramecium. And the
So
paramecium, and as well as vinegar eels, when to use each, why some species I would use some, and microworms I wouldn't use in other cases. I give all those reasons, I give those details, and that's exactly why I think it's a great help for those who really want the details. And I'm going to open that up to membership in the form of lots of small little videos showing the behind the scenes. And I think it's going to pay
right.
off with those who actually want to subscribe.
And then also they can also get these paramecium cultures and starter cultures for grindle worms and stuff and even other things pre-order if they wanted to from your channel from your website as well, yes.
Yeah, the website is fisheasy.ca. I'm here in
Okay.
Toronto. Of course, you're also in Toronto. We're only 10 minutes apart driving.
What a
So
great beer.
it's kind of nice and convenient to be able to run over and fix something, do something, bring something. Tonight I was there. I
Yeah,
dropped off some fish and I picked up some fish. And so it was like
so
big chain, quick exchange, right? So how are
these
they
are the
doing?
fish
Those
that
look
got
like the
dropped
fish
off.
I brought over tonight.
Yeah, that's the tank that the water is all pink, so quite
Yeah,
interesting phenomenon. And these were the ones you brought over yesterday.
right. So those angels look like they're big
Yeah.
enough. It makes it easy. All you need to do is feed them the small bass leer. You need to feed them small granules, and they'll take off. And they're eating them now. So prior to that, when they're eating live foods, this is where I feed them, just to give people an idea of the live food cultures. Let me see if I can turn my camera on. I'm not sure if I can. Oh yeah. Okay, so what you're seeing here is we've got an arsenal. All these up here at Paramecia and culture is growing, and then we have jars of very small fish. Some of them not even free swimming yet, and then down below we have the baby brine shrimp. As you can see, not many people are culturing like so many jars. I got one, two, three, four going at the moment because there's even one over here. So every 36 hours, I'm feeding about a tablespoon and a half of baby brine shrimp because at the moment we're looking at some 25 different, I think there's 25 different spawns being grown here
Right now.
right now at this moment.
So a rough estimate of how many actual fish you have there right now.
I would
Um,
say on average, that's a good question. On the average, each spawn is looking at um, probably at least 200 on average, 200, maybe 150 to 200 fish. So multiply that by 25 and you got your number.
so several thousand at least,
Yeah, several thousand are right
conservatively.
here, right now.
Yeah. Uh, wow, that's going to be a lot of work when they end up here in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, are you ready?
Um, so what we end up doing is we do sell these to pet stores. across the city. So I think we should maybe mention some of those stores where people can buy our fish. I know a lot of your subscribers always are asking for this as well.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to buy some of the fish, it's come to the conclusion. I may as well share this with everybody. The fact is that we're so busy with our fish that we cannot cater to the individual, and so the individual may say, "Hey, I want some of those angels. I want a couple angels," and honestly, we would love to be able. We don't have a brick and mortar store, and there's no intention here to have one.
We don't have that though. We're too busy with our lives. We both have jobs. So
Well, yeah, I mean, just from the standpoint, yeah, everybody's got a life, right? But just from the standpoint of the time required to raise these thousands of small fry, and then also keep up with the ones growing out, it's a lot of work and time. So we can't spend an hour or two with each person selling two fish. So this would be an opportunity, really, for people who are interested, just to know where they can get these fish. And I think that the aquarium.biz website is a prime candidate, a place where we can post where they can get the different species, so we could just direct
yeah,
them. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good idea. I'm having a lot of disturbance with the audio, so I'm gonna try and removing the mic here. Let me see if that works.
Your mic?
Okay, so
You're trying it without the mic, you mean?
yeah, I removed the mic because I
I
feel
can hear
like
you
that's what's
fine.
causing. Okay, because I was getting feedback on your talk. So you were suggesting that we have a once a week kind of like mention on what we have, where we have them, essentially.
Well, I was thinking that it would be nice if, like, on the aquarium.biz website, there's an actual place that people can go to and say, I'm looking for black rams. If you're looking for black rams, you could list all the places that, even the date when we drop them off, so that people would know, oh, okay, from that date they have this particular item. So if we took the orders and we just posted that they have them, it would be a way of us directing people to say, hey, if you want black rams, go to this store, or that store, and then they would be able to find them.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. I'm on board with that. That sounds pretty good, because then they can just go to the website and see where the fish are and then go and pick them up.
Okay, I do see a post here. It says we're coming through loud and clear, so I'm glad about
Good.
that. It maybe just echo on your end,
I
because
think it
maybe
was
you're the
doing that.
host. Maybe because I'm going through the host, and maybe that's why there's some echo.
Yeah, I feel like that's what was happening. It was picking it up and replaying. It was muting certain words, so I couldn't hear everything you were saying. It was choppy. Now I can hear you much clearer.
Why don't you mention exactly where you can get some of the fish that we've raised in the last, and where they're available?
Okay, so I know everybody's been asking about the black rams. So right now, there's only a few places that have them still. I believe Jason at the Six Aquatics still has some pairs left. They are, I believe, $90 a pair, and the website is the sixaquatics.ca. And he can ship to you anywhere within Canada, basically, airport to airport. If Air Canada or WestJet is flying to where you are, he can ship you the fish. It's between 95 and $150, depending on where you are, time of the year, and various other factors. But the fish will get to you within 4 hours. So that's the best place to get black grams if you're anywhere across Canada and you want them. And he has really nice pairs, actually. Very good size fish, ready to breed. The other person that has some is Magical Aquarium, which is in Scarborough. They have black rams, also pairs, but they only have very limited amount. I don't know if there's any left over now by this point because they've had them for a few days. But you can check with them. They also have many of our other fish, like German rams. They have various colored angels like red koi and gold and black pandas. They have full gold platinums. They also have some other varieties that we have the short fin reds. So they're pretty well stocked with our angelfish there. Um, and also, if you're in Scarborough or like Markham, I think a really cool store is Dragon King Aquarium, which is Kim and Billy. They have a lot of our fish there. About a third of their store is basically our fish right now, and it's all angels, various colors. Quite a lot of selection there. A lot of the red ones are there, like high quality red caps. She has quite a lot of red kois, tricolors, red and black with the red cap. So white fish with black and red head. Really nice quality fish too. All long fins. She comes here and picks the fish herself, so she hand picks each fish. And so that's another place to check out. Brampton Big Al's has quite a bit of our fish. Um, there's also Tails and Scales downtown. I think they had some black rams when we were there last. I think I remember seeing some still left there. So Tails and Scales had some left, so you can check there, um, as well as Mississauga Big Al's. But I think they'll be sold out by now. But they also still had a few when we were there last, so they might still have a couple left. I'm not sure, but those are the places that have black rams. Um, and the Thorectus maculopinus, which is the the firemouth, the spangled one. So it's the spot cheek cichlid, I think is what it's called. Yes, and those ones you can find at Fanatics for the large ones. She's the only one with the larger ones. They're also at Scarborough Big L's. They also have them at Mississauga Big L's. But again, these might be sold out by now because they were really nice by the time we gave it to them, and they also had them for quite cheap. So they might be sold out. But it's a good idea to call them and see. I might be giving some of these guys to Brampton Big L's, which has not electric, gold rams and German rams, some discus, some turquoise discus, a couple of red Alenker discus. They have some blue seal pointer angels. They have all the colors of angels, red kois and black and gold pandas, various other colors. So it's a good idea to check them out. They also have Lucy's, like the larger Lucy's, at Brampton. Um, and yeah, so these are some of the stores that have our fish right now. And if there's any, I think the idea of putting it on the website where each time somebody buys, like a store picks up a type of fish, you put the store's name and what they have of ours at the time, or so, or whatever, however you want to, categorize it. That way, people can just go there and then see what store has it, call them up, say, hey, like you still have them in stock. All right, I'm gonna come pick up this many. Also, really quickly, I want to say, um, Hank at Barry, what is the Tropical Gems in Barry? So they have some black rams. I forgot to mention that. They did. They did pick up some a few weeks ago. So they do have. They might have some still left. And they also had. They also picked up a bunch of red cap angels, like large ones. Really nice quality, and some German rams as well. So yeah.
Yeah, very good. I think that's a great start. Just to be able to give people a little directory on where to find things. Thanks for that rundown.
Yeah, it's basically like my head was like the map. Everywhere I went in the last 2 weeks, it's like, oh, I went there, then I went there, I went there. It's like zip, 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 zip.
I'm exhausted just listening to you go through the fish route.
Also, we forgot to mention Longfin Lagoon, which is out in Kingston. He has our fish. He's pretty much sold out on a few things, but he still has Lucy's left. He has German Rams left. He has some Discus left. He also has Torictis maculopinus, the spot cheek cichlid or the rainbow firemouths. So those are he has some of those left, and he has some angels left. So he's out in Kingston, and check him out. It's a Longfin Lagoon, I believe .wordpress.com. But he's on right now. He can probably put the link on for us. But
Yeah.
yes, that's who has the fish. So and I guess you can explain to us about your new experiment that you're doing with fish food, and we can talk about that.
Well, yeah, I'm going to explain what we were talking about the other day. It's a experiment, yes, but basically, we were approached by Bobby G's,
I'm going in
and
the basement because it's really hot up here.
yeah, it's very hot in here too. But I'm trying to keep my shirt on for the public, right?
Oh, you have no idea. I know. All right. Yes,
But
keep going. We're listening to you.
basically, we were faced or given a opportunity to test out some foods because obviously he does carry extreme, and the extreme is something that he deals with. Now, what he said was he likes the product, and he used the product. And what you have in your hand there is the beef heart flakes,
I
and
have
I
not
picked
tried
up.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a couple here also. We're going to take a look at these. These are extreme foods that were given us, and we're going to try them out. But the best way to try something out is to really know or try to figure out if there's any difference in feeding one food over another. In other words, the proof is in the pudding, right?
Also,
You put
not a paid advertisement. Bobby G did not give us
no,
any.
no, 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 no. Actually, this is the reverse. We're going to be trying it out because we want to know ourselves
Yes.
whether this is any different or better than what we've been using. Why don't you tell us what we have been using so I can get a drink?
Okay, so what we have been using is predominantly Dr. Basileir. So again, not a paid advertisement. We are friends with Dr. Gerald Basileir. He is very helpful in our farm by, um, with all the work that he does. But this is his food, and this is my personally favorite food to feed all my fish. If there's one food that I can pick to feed all the fish, this is it. And we have really good results with it. Look, you can see our fish are very healthy and doing well. It seems to have disease fighting properties. So even if there is a disease, sometimes the fish seem to some of the fish at least seem to be resilient to the disease. I've noticed that since I started feeding this, like there is a clear difference. And on top of this, we also feed. Um, what else? We do feed some other stuff. So I'll start with the crappiest of the crappy food that we feed, which is this stuff. Um, but the fish really like this. I feed this as a treat. Uh, like lately, I haven't been feeding this as much. I mean, we do have this, but we feed this quite sparsely. Um, then we also feed this stuff here, which is the tropical discus grand. So this is what I like to feed all the larger discus. So anything over 2.5 inches, we feed this. Same with the angels. Anything that's bigger than a toonie size usually gets this. Um, and so and on top of that, we also like feed bug bites, color enhancing formula. This one is mostly for plecos, some of our hypencestrus and stuff, but also the breeding adults and stuff get it like once a week type of deal, once every other week, whenever I remember. Just because it has like different proteins and different things in it. And then on top of that, we just got a new one today, which is this one to test out. Astra color just for the red discus and the red angels, and we are also trying out this new one called Pro Defense, um, with probiotics. So that's for like gut health and stuff. Obviously, the giant containers of Basileir. Um, so this is the big ones.
Now, on the basileir that you're feeding, what is the size? Greg asked that question. It's a good one. I believe the medium. Is it the medium granules that we're using?
Yes, I'll actually show you guys the granules. It's quite small. So here, let me turn the camera around. There I am. Okay.
I think their size, or at least the European reference to medium, is quite small. I would have called that a small, but
Yeah, I would
on,
call this nano. Like it's not even small. This is like
it's
micro
nano,
size.
yes, and they call it medium.
Yeah. So their size small is basically powder. Um, the size small, we actually have some of that. I rarely use it. I should probably give it to Michael. Actually, I should give it to you because you're gonna have better use for that stuff. But it's essentially like 5 to 50 micron, tiny little powder food, and and this one is a size M, that the one we're feeding predominantly, and that's about it's about point five millimeters. It's very tiny.
Okay, this is the nano from Extreme, and this is the one I think we should test against the
The basket.
Basleer medium. The size on this is, as it says here, these are protein pellets that are, let's see, I thought it said, here it is, 0.5 millimeter high, it says, high
Okay,
protein pellet. So point
so
0.5 millimeter.
fun fact. I actually compared because you left me some of that, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
So I was feeding it to some of the rams, and I was doing my own little test here to see if it clouds the water any more than the Basileir. But in the process, I did compare the two, and I realized that the Dr. Basileir size M is about less than a half of one of those granules.
Really?
Yeah, maybe between a half and a quarter in terms of size.
So it's a, since these are a half millimeter, you're saying it's a quarter of a millimeter from Basleer, whereas this is a little larger.
I think so. We can actually next time when we do the live stream together, maybe we can put them side by side, or we can even try that. Even actually, when you're doing the test video, maybe put the granules next to each other to show the size difference of how small this is.
What is the crude protein on the Dr. Basleer? Because here on the extreme, the crude protein is 52%.
Here, I'm going blind. I need glasses. Hold on. Uh, okay. Da-da-da. Fish derivatives, additives, dietary. Da-da-da-da-da. Ingredients: crude protein 56%.
56? It says 52. So
Okay.
it's very, very comparable.
Mm-hmm.
Very comparable. So would you like me to show people what the test will be?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show people that we have behind me three 10-gallon tanks. So let me turn it around here. As you can see, there are one, two, three tanks. If you would like to say, take a look.
And I will get you guys to look at something interesting on the other side while we look at
Yes.
this fun
Okay.
experiment.
And so what we're going to look at is three tanks all set up almost identical. So these three tanks are, as you can see, got angels in them. And these are three batches of angels. This batch here and the next batch, and they're all within 3 days of one another. So size wise, let me get a close up of the fish. So this is a tank, and this is a tank, and this is another tank. So they're all basically set up so that they have a siphon hose in the back, and they're going to be very easily drop the water. So for example, I'm going to change the water on each tank every day. So they're going to get water changes once a day, each one of these three tanks. Now let me demonstrate how that's done. I think maybe set up the camera and you can kind of see what's going on. You see, yeah, you can see the three tanks.
I have a question, Michael.
Yeah,
Are they from the same batch or are they like from different pairings?
each one is from a different pair, obviously
Okay.
because they're in age about the same.
Okay.
However, the pairs are related. They're
So
all platinum angelfish, maybe pearl scale.
okay.
They're all the parents are like brother sister, or you know how they're related pretty
Yeah, yeah,
much. You
yeah.
can even tell me. So they're the same genetic type. They're the same fish,
Okay.
and so that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to feed tank number one with Dr. Baslier only.
Okay.
Tank number two, we're going to feed with extreme only.
Okay.
And then tank number three is going to get a mixture of one day one and one day the other. So they'll get a mixture of both.
Okay.
And then giving them the same amount of exact same amount of water change. And their food will be measured out. So it should be almost the same because there's practically the same amount of fish in each one.
Okay.
Each tank will also have a couple of plecos in it, just because it'll help clean the bottom and help feed. And so it helps to keep things kind of equal. And so by changing the water, this is about a 40% water change daily. And
Okay.
we're going to take pictures at day one. And then we're going to run the test. And at a certain time, when it's time to move them out of the tanks because of their size, we'll then take pictures again and we'll compare not so much each other, but we're going to compare the final result from the beginning. So in other words, from the start to the end, we're going to look at their original picture, and then we'll compare it to their final picture. And we're going to see the results and see if, in fact, that food or mixture of foods, either way, are going to be more useful to us. So that's one way that we can test this food out.
Mm.
The other consideration is the cost. So if in the end we see hardly any difference, then we're going to look at the cost and see how that would, kind of make a difference in our
Right.
assertion of what's best.
Because if it costs us like significantly less to get this food here, because we're getting it from the distributor directly here in Canada, and as opposed to having to pay shipping and sometimes having to pay, duty and customs fees and stuff like that to get it from Belgium or from Germany, it might not be a bad idea to like to actually even if not even switching to it to have it as a secondary food source that we can use, especially for I'm realizing like for rams and angels we can probably get away with it even for the discus too. But I would prefer to feed the discus something if the other one proves to be more effective. Like if the basileus seems to be more effective, I would like to keep them on that. But if there's only like a marginal difference between the two, for example, if you're getting the basileus to grow the fish out a little bit better maybe than let's say the extreme, let's say that was the case, I would not mind feeding the extreme to the rams or the angels because you know it's it's not an expensive fish that we sell them for quite cheap, and it makes no difference, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's where my thoughts are with that. And you guys are basically getting a glimpse of like our conversations that we might have actually like about this type of things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think this has been a great forum to just let people know how we work with each other to come up with ideas and strengths of. We were given, like, for example, some flakes. Now,
Yeah,
it
this
turns
one here.
out that flakes are not our biggest, they're not the biggest thing that we like to use. I like the fact that my food actually feels like it's got some substance to it.
Well,
But
and
I do
fish
know
don't seem
that
to like the flakes.
they don't seem to like it if they're not accustomed to it. I don't
No.
think it's a bad thing to feed flakes, especially before we go to selling them, because if they become accustomed to eating flakes and they go to the final end, or shall we say their final home, and they're not going to eat flakes, people are going to be scratching their heads, says, well, what does this fish eat? They need to learn that flakes is food. But when it comes to growing out, majority of the time, I think they need something solid and something really good. And I think it's going to be more expensive to feed flakes because they're very lightweight. You don't get much when you pay that much money
No.
for flakes. It just
And
seems like
it seems like even in terms of like workload, it might be more work to feed flakes because you're feeding more of it, that creates more waste just to give like some food value, you know. That's what I'm feeling like when I feed flakes, because my water gets bad so fast. If I feed a decent amount of flakes in like, you know, to get the fish like full, then like the next day my water is white or milky, you know. And so that's something I definitely don't like about flakes. And uh, and, and I, I agree with what you're saying with the, like, it doesn't feel like it's anything either. Like even when I was, you know, we just opened that container of flakes today that ordered to try out the red color enhancing one, and I was like, oh my god, this feels like paper, you know, like it's like there for life. Like, and I filled up a container, and in the container next to a Basilier container that only had like a fifth of food in it, felt like it was not as heavy, you know, like a full thing of
yeah.
the flakes. So yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, I compare it to Rice Krispies. I loved Rice Krispies as a kid, but I could eat bowl after bowl after bowl, and turns out that in the end I wasn't getting a lot because I would eat it and then I feel hungry almost immediately.
Yeah, yeah, it has no food value. It's like empty, right? Yeah, fair enough.
So that's the big experiment, and I do appreciate documenting this. So again, as we talked about at the beginning, I plan on showing probably a lot of the documentation to the members of the Fish Easy community, and so that, of course, won't be a secret. We'll mention it and discuss it also in future live presentations. I have my um, live stream on Friday nights typically. And so I know you have them from time to time also on different nights.
Yeah, I try to do Fridays, but I sometimes work on Fridays, and then things kind of have, you know, it depends on if I'm working, or depends on what time I get off. And sometimes I get off work and I'm too tired to do anything. Um, so I try to do it on Saturdays more often now, but you know, Fridays seem to be a better day for live streams because everybody's home Friday night. Usually from work, most people don't go out Friday nights; they go out Saturdays. And so I try to do it on Fridays, but it's not always. But I know you always get one in on Friday night, right?
I try, and it's usually later, like at 9 p.m. or so. And the reason why is not necessarily because I like to go late. It's just that I feel it's only fair because in the East Coast you're later, but then what about the people on the West Coast? And so we can have people join us from 3 hour difference. If it's at 9, then it's 6 o'clock. They've gotten off work, and then it also benefits the Australians because I'm picking up a lot of people who are watching my live streams from Australia,
At 9
and
a.m.
it's the next morning on
Yeah,
Saturday morning. They can wake
yeah,
up and they can enjoy the live stream on a Saturday morning. Maybe they're drinking their coffee, whereas well, I got iced tea tonight, but everybody's got their beverage of choice. This
yeah,
is I like the raspberry flavored iced tea. So this is like a way of being able to be open or available to everyone that is interested. Because I've sent paramecium and I've helped people to actually get their fish going. And I had one person write back. This is, of course, regarding the paramecia. I do sell paramecia at fisheasy.ca. And yes, I don't charge a lot. It's just really a means to spread it, get it out to people. Because once they get the culture, they don't need to replenish it or anything. They
Yeah.
need to just keep reculturing, right?
And
And
you also
so,
send all the material required, yes? Like,
oh
because I
yeah, it's a
remember.
kit. It's a kit completely. So it's like it's got not just the paramecia, but it's got I send them the necessary wheat berries. I send them um, the yeast enough to
Okay.
last them for a while, and also the last thing is the scoop necessary for measuring it out right the proper way, and it all comes double bagged, and it has arrived each and every time. Now, sometimes it took a month to get it to Australia, but when Evan Nolan, for example, received his paramecia, he was breeding, I believe it was CPDs, and he had a tremendous result of feeding this very small food to his CPDs to get him going. And he said he never had such a wonderful result. I've had other people say the same thing. They they're like I'm amazed at how many fries survived this time. And I had one person say, I have so many fry, I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. You know, it's like that's a good
It's
problem to
not a
have, in
bad
my
problem.
opinion.
It's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we also have a super chat from Mayur. Actually, Mayur, thank you so much for the super chat. Uh,
yeah. You know, Mayor is
ten
has
dollars.
been a tremendous help to us in the chatting, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate his super chat, his gesture, and I think that he's one of the individuals that has helped us as much as we've helped him because he's gone through a lot of the genetics behind the fish, the black rams. He's shared a lot of information with me, and I'm still absorbing it. And I need to spend more time in getting through on some of the stuff that he has. In fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea if in the future we did have him come on as a guest on
I
our
would I
live
would love
stream.
to do that. Yeah, that would be a cool thing to have him here, or through like a, like a website or somehow like we can all connect. I mean, but he lives close enough that if he can arrange it, that we can have him here and like sit down and have a chat.
Yeah,
Yeah, either on this channel or your channel would be a cool idea. But yes, thank you so much for the super chat, and everybody else. If you guys have questions for Michael, this is a good time, and we can get to those right now. Um,
if you've said a question already, we may have passed it by because we had the program running. But you know what? If you have a question and you want to repeat it, do it now,
yeah,
and we'll pick up on the question and maybe answer a few.
yes, and also thumbs up on the live stream because it helps out quite a bit. Okay, so let's say hi to people. Jeff Kane's been on for a bit. He's been posting your website. Thank you so much.
He's been
Uh,
posting a lot of things. In fact, Jeff has been moderating our sites, and we really do appreciate everything he does for the hobby with all sites. Really,
and Jeff says StreamYard is good to do the to have guests, and I think it is. I've used it before. I really like the platform. It's very user friendly, so it's a good idea. And Leban says I'm going to order some for my cherry barbs.
what
So
the paramecia?
yeah, yeah, you can ship it anywhere in basically like the normal parts of the world. I'm guessing like Europe is fine. You can ship it to Australia, US. Where else have you shipped it to so far?
I have shipped it to Australia, to Canada, the U.S., and all over the U.S. And each and every time, it always has arrived. Even though I've had several people say, "When it arrived, it's all dead. I don't see anything." And
You're
I
not
tell
supposed to
them,
see anything.
no, I tell them take the culture starter, put it in the culture media, do what I say in the video because I do send them the link to a very special video of what to do when you open up the package. And in so doing, these people that can't find anything always come back to me 3 weeks later saying, "Oh yeah, it's a wonderful culture thriving, so it's doing great," you know. And it's like, huh,
So so
ye of
um
little faith.
explain to us why they're not seeing anything when they first get the culture.
Well, I think there may be, it's possible there is two things. First of all, there may have been some die off, but all you need is really one. All you need is one to survive, and that little paramecium will split and divide and divide and divide. And so if you put it in the culture, the proper recipe that I give, they will actually multiply. In 3 weeks, you're going to see a very concentrated, thick culture of paramecia, and that is just the way it is. One little guy gets through the conditions, but it also could be also that they're not sure what they're looking at, and when they send it, and I'm being honest, I mean, I
Yeah.
know people, I tell them, take a flashlight, and I take a flashlight and put it behind and kind of look at different angles, and you'll see these little white specks in the water floating about. And if
Yeah.
people look at it and they're looking for something bigger, they may just pass by. Or maybe
Yeah.
their eyes are not that good and they need to have a higher concentration before they see it.
Yeah.
But I think that's also a factor. But once it gets concentrated and it looks like a white cloud of little specks,
Is it a single cellular organism?
it's a single cell organism. Yes.
Okay, so it's just one cell.
Yep.
Okay, so it's very it's not something you can generally see with your naked eye.
A one by itself, no, it's
No.
not easy to spot.
So if there's a couple in the culture, if there's maybe five for a drop of water, you're not gonna see them.
Maybe you're seeing a couple little spots and you're wondering if that's going to do it, but then in the end, you're only seeing maybe 1% of what's really there.
Right. Okay. Okay. So just follow the instructions. Be patient. And
Yeah.
we do have another super chat from Shady Grady. Thank you so much, Shady Grady. And he says, "Thank you both for all your help. I'm a successful fish breeder now with your knowledge." Well,
Oh, I
it's
think
also
I think
hard
he
work.
got paramecia from me. Yes, I think
Yes,
Shady Grady
I
received some.
remember
I
you
think
said.
he's in the U.S. No.
Uh, and they work they work fantastically. So oh my god, I'm so tired. To trigger fish breed as well. Lots of food in the water for babies, and the parents know it. Yes, I've actually it's funny because that's something a lot of people say, and I've seen evidence of this as well. When there is like things like paramecia in the water, it triggers the fish to breed. Like I've noticed that if I have a pair of fish, like like a pair of, I don't know, like angels or whatever, they're not breeding so readily. I just let them go, like the tank, and then you start noticing a little bit of like you know little microorganisms here and there, and then all of a sudden they just breed. So it's quite possible that there is a trigger to that.
Yeah, Greg Jones is asking a nice question. He says, "What temperature should they, be at?" And I have some bad news to tell you. It's almost impossible to kill the things, no
I
matter
think
what temperature. So what
I
happened,
think
Greg?
Mayor said that earlier.
Yeah, I took a sample culture and I set it outside here in the Canadian winter, and left it there for 2 months, and I'm serious, 2 months out in the cold, near 0 degrees Celsius, and I just left them to see what would happen. And I pulled them in after 2 months, and I looked at the culture, and there were still little paramecia floating around. And so I think, and I haven't tried this yet. I haven't tried to actually freeze them and see if they come back to life. I haven't
I
done
was
that.
I was just gonna ask. That's how I'm into that type of stuff. I want to know. So I'm definitely into that
I could
experiment.
put them in the freezer and find out, but I tell you, no, they. Um, I have I have actually. I think they just stop multiplying rapidly when they are in very 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 cold water, and but I don't think it kills them, and I think that they will survive, and so they do survive. And so if you put them in, if you had them growing in ponds, it would be like all the other infusoria there. If they are ponds, I think I saw. Is this if this is the same Greg Jones that has the Daphnia video? I've just watched it this week. Gave it a thumbs up. It was awesome. And when you're doing the Daphnia out in the outside, this is something that is great. We're going to be doing that too, and that's for a future video, right? We're going to be showing how we do that in our
Yeah,
backyard.
well, we have a lot of tanks now that are sitting out in the backyard that can be converted into summertime daphnia cultures and other things for our farm. So I'm really excited for that part.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think with the paramecia and stuff, like in ponds, I don't think they die off. They just go to the bottom where it doesn't freeze and they just live there, right? Like, I mean, they have to survive out in nature somehow.
Yeah.
Um, so we do have another question here from Brampton as well. Is it possible to buy some of your fish? Well, we actually don't have a lot of time to do that. Salam YT.
Well,
Uh,
what he can do is he's going to be able to find what fish we have and where we've sold it to, and get it at Brampton Big Al's. Because if he's
Honestly,
in
that's
Brampton, he
yeah,
may be able to get it right there. In fact, we keep Brampton's Big Al's stocked with our fish, and that's
yes,
what really is good, you know.
yeah. Regularly, I'm there like at least once a week, and I make sure there's always like a very good supply of our fish there. And the reason we recommend going there, a lot of times you end up getting deals like um, because we don't sell our fish at a discount than the pet stores. Even if I were to sell the fish to you, it would be the same price as the pet store.
Yeah.
And so the situation that happened recently with Greg, it was Greg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Greg wanted to buy some fish from Michael, and so Michael ended up asking me where we have the fish in stock, and I told Greg that, or I told Michael to tell Greg that they have it at Mississauga Big Al's, the same
Oh,
fish he was looking for.
excuse me. What? It wasn't Greg, was it Jerry?
Jerry, yes, it was Jerry. I'm so
It was
sorry.
Jerry, yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
so
Jerry.
one of our subscribers was interested, and I told him, well, and he had bought fish from me
Right.
before we actually started our conglomeration or aquarium biz, and I
So
told him where to find them, and he got them cheaper than what I would have sold them to him for.
right,
Same fish, same fish.
yeah, and it was like cheaper than what you sold it to him the last time for as well, right? Because when
Yeah,
he bought it for you from you originally, he bought it at full price. So
yeah.
he got them on sale for I think 6.99 or 7.99 or
It
something.
was a
6.99.
special. They put them on special and got a sale.
Yeah, yeah, because they took 50 fish. I think they sold the first 30, and they just put the rest on sale because they just want to get them out and get more. And then we ended up giving them more fish, and they still ended up selling those out in the next week or two. So
Yeah,
Brampton Big House is where we have a lot of our stuff readily available. If you wanted to buy something more particular, like you wanted to buy some larger discus, for example, maybe like and again, it's not one or two fish. If you're buying six fish or something, we can work something out. But otherwise, it's usually we just even these guys they have them in stock at Brampton Big House. So there you go.
yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, I wanted to mention the answer. Scheller Aquatics asked the question about, are they red wheat berries? Yes, red wheat berries is what they're referred to. When you buy them, unfortunately, you have to buy a big sack of them. And I ordered them online, got them from Amazon, delivered to my house, and now I have so much red wheat berry that my wife tried to cook with them a little bit, and I did have them for a meal. Well, it wasn't the most. Well, it's sort of like, in my opinion, it was like eating. Um, well, it was like eating beans or something like that, right? It was just kind of carbohydrate. But yes, that's how I got them, and now I send about a tablespoon and a half of those red wheat berries in my kit for the paramecia, because you're boiling about 10 or less kernels, so you don't use a lot, and so it lasts forever. Yeah, and Bulk Barn, yeah, you might be able to find it in a place like that. They're just red wheat berries.
Whole
Um,
Foods or health food stores should have it. Like
yeah,
anything that
maybe you
carries
can find
like
them in a smaller quantity.
yeah. I mean, what you give, because I remember you giving me a culture like 2 years ago, and I never did anything with it. But the amount of wheat berries that I got was like enough to last years. You know, like if you're only making like a culture every like 10 days, it's you don't need a lot.
I get a lot of questions about that, and people say, "Can I use this or can I use that? Or can I use something different than the wheat berries?" And the answer to that is yes. You can use other items that basically rot in the water and cause the putrefaction, and they will survive, and you'll have paramecia. However, with those other items comes a very strong smell, and the odor is very strong. So the wheat berries I have found is the key to having a very minimal amount of odor. So the reason why we use the red wheat berries is for the odor more than anything else. And they tend to work really great, easy to work with. There's just a lot of advantage. So I recommend the red wheat berries, but it doesn't mean that's the only way. Yes, there's other ways to culture paramecia, and there's many videos on culturing infusoria, although they're not always 100% successful. But the
So
method I promote is always, every time, consistent. And 3 weeks after I've started the culture, I am using the culture at high concentration.
Greg has a question. Greg Jones, and the question is, he had one sitting next to a light source, and he made some algae, and he wants to know. He noticed that that one lasted longer. Um, is algae helpful for the paramecia?
You know, there's also there. I'll explain it this way. There's many ways, and you could very well do that. Put it by the light. And I remember in one of the videos that he was that this was I think it was an interview by Nick down in uh, LFS, his keeping KFS, keeping fish simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was interviewing this gentleman who had so much success because his tanks were near the windows. And yes, light has tremendous properties. However, there's people who want to just have always with them a particular amount of paramecia or infusoria ready to go at any time. Using the culture system I do, and I start one every 10 days, it only takes a few minutes to start it up. I'm guaranteed to always have a high concentration every 10 days. Now, let's take the other side of things. Let's say somebody says, "Oh, I can put it with algae, they'll survive." They will survive. Okay, they will survive in any amount of water, but their concentration level will go up and down, and it's not consistent. So that when you have that surprise hatch of fry,
Right,
you're not scrambling and saying, "Oh no, I got to look at my culture." And guess what? Oh, my culture is not 100%. And then
and you lose
it's
your
like
fry. Yeah,
you're kind of like up the creek without a paddle, right?
right. So
So
basically,
I'm thinking that my method. Oh, there's the lights went out. We
yeah.
forgot.
Alexa, green Grotto lights on. Thank you. So basically, what you're saying is the difference between um, the other method that they're asking about and your method is that your method, you can have 3,000 fry at the same time and still be okay and have food for them, whereas the other way, if you had 3,000 fry, just like if I just gave you all these eggs 1 week and say here you go, and then you're like
Okay. There's,
overwhelmed, you're
there's
done.
another reason. There's another reason, and let me
Yeah.
explain that one to you. Very simply, that remember they are in water that's not necessarily good for your fish. So the water is kind of on more on the putrid side. It's kind of like old water. I mean, it's really got some rotting things in it. Okay.
Okay.
So here's the problem. So if I add a lot of that water to a very small container with fry, I am increasing the amount of bad water to a small quantity of water.
Right.
So what I need to do is add much less of the media water because I can't filter the paramecia out. They go right through the filters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're too small. They'll go right through the filters. Even the smallest micro filter that you have, it's going to be almost impossible to not have. Even my green water. My green water, I can put through the filter, and it looks like it just goes right through. It doesn't collect on the filter.
Because it's a single cellular organism.
Exactly. So is the algae here floating about called green water. Now, if I want to minimize the amount of water, what I do is I increase the concentration of paramecia per milliliter. So per milliliter, if I'm only adding a very small amount of water, but it has tons of paramecia in it,
Like a cloud.
it's like a cloud, yet I didn't add a lot of the bad water. So
Right.
remember, when you're working with small fish in small containers, it's very important that you don't foul the water. So that's another reason to bear in mind.
Okay. And you talk about this stuff on your channel regularly. I mean, I watch some of your
Yeah.
videos. When I'm watching, I'm usually quiet. I don't say anything because I just like to absorb, and
Yeah.
the live streams. And you explain a lot of this stuff, and you also have videos made on your channel about this type of stuff. Yes.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Greg Jones has a point though. The other point I wanted to mention is I'm not saying that the algae doesn't work. I'm just saying that's a great find, and it's worthy of testing out. And if you have a situation where you can test something out, like um, yeah, if you could test something out just to see if it's a better way of doing it, yeah, please let me know. Let me know. I mean, I would love to also take advantage of the advan. I'm definitely not the person who invented this. In fact, just so you know, the instructions that I have came from came
okay.
from Greg Sage. Came from Greg Sage. Greg
Okay.
Sage did this, and we're very close friends, and we both have the Odessas. I got Odessas from Greg, and so when he used the paramecia, he's hasn't used it much lately. In fact, he doesn't have it at all anymore. He's going to have to get some from me because of whatever reason. But he got it from somewhere in Florida. I think it may have even been the Carolina supply house, the one that you know takes care of all the biological supplies for all the colleges, schools, and everything else. So, with that experience came the instructions, and the instructions with the wheat berries and so forth, that all came from the source of who's been doing it for years and years. It's not been invented by me,
So
but
the research lab.
I have, yes, by research lab, and I have used it with great success, and so all I share is my success in saying this is works. And so I'm not claiming that I invented it, that's for sure, but I certainly share everything I learned and everything that I've learned from others, and I share it with those who are members of um, my website, my live streams, my channel, and I do appreciate it. So that's another reason why it's good to stay members, and if you got that subscribed on there and you're getting the notifications, I try to go live stream. I've also will be putting out a lot more videos. I got some help with that today, so hopefully that will pan out, and we're going to get some assistance to get more videos out to people so that they can enjoy more from Fish Easy.
Sounds good. Okay. I think we're like a little over an hour, so we're gonna sign out now. But Scheller made he just said he just ordered 3 pounds for $15. Should be set for life. I think you're
Yeah,
set for like several lifetimes now.
yeah, that's probably what I paid. It was like $15, $16, but it sent me forever. I have a big can of it, and I haven't dented it. It's gonna last forever because I'm just feeding paramecia with it, right?
And you've been also giving this to people when they buy a culture. So like
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
oh
like
yeah. Keep giving it
yeah.
away.
So you're trying to dent it, but you haven't been able to
No,
after like a few years. Great.
no, yeah.
It's gonna be forever. Well,
Any
if
more questions?
um
Do I, Sandy asked a question, do you
All right.
feed angel fry on them? And the answer to that is no. I don't feed angel fry. And it's very simple reason. I can skip the whole small food with an angel fry because once they become free swimming, they've been absorbing the egg sac and they've been growing and they grow. And when they need food, when the egg sac runs out, they will start eating baby brain shrimp from day one. So a lot of cichlids are like that. They're big enough to start eating baby brain shrimp. And if that's the case, just get them going on baby brain shrimp and keep going. It's like they kind of skip the whole process. But for smaller fry, such as what we have here is, and just to give you an example, these are black ram fry right here,
They're
and we're
tiny.
looking at their growth rate is much smaller, and these little black guys have small mouths when they're born. Electric blue rams, same thing. They just smaller. The German blues, yeah, they little assist, fine, but they can almost go on baby brain shrimp within a day. But these other ones, no, they're hybrids, they're color morphs, and they take longer to grow, and their mouths are not that big when they're born or when they're going free swimming. Yeah, neon tetras, for example, Sandy says, definitely you need some very small infusoria. Paramecia is an infusoria, and so they need that when they're first born.
Okay. And I have a question actually. So I'm guessing because your paramecia is from a laboratory, and also because you always use boiled water and you sterilize all your equipment and everything before, like even the wheat berries get boiled. I'm guessing that what you have is a very pure culture as well.
Yeah, actually, from what I can see, I don't have a microscope. Maybe one day we'll
Well,
get
that's
one.
something that we are supposed to do actually.
But looking at them, yes, I have not noticed other types of infusoria that are mixed in with these, and I think it's a pure group of them or strain of them, and I don't mix it with any tank water so that it would become mixed. And the reason why is, for example, when I grow the green algae, or in other words, the green water, the problem is that there's also seed shrimp that grow in there and they also use the nutrients. So I'm constantly trying to get rid of the seed shrimp. I want just green water. So I keep filtering it. I keep taking the tank. They seem to keep popping up again anyway. I'm going to have to put in a new sterilized or maybe a brand new tank and put in just green water somehow. That's the only way I think I'm going to be able to get green water that's got no um,
So
absolutely no
even
other
after
little foreign animals growing in there too.
so even after you've filtered it through um, like a fine screen or whatever, you're still getting seed shrimp. That's interesting. So that means the eggs of the seed shrimp or the larvae
Yeah.
must be so tiny
No, and
that they.
there's algae in that tank. Algae seems to pop up. That's going to come from the water supply. Is it possible that the sea shrimp are coming in from the water supply?
I
I
mean,
don't know. I don't
do they
boil the
live in our
water.
lake? It's
What's that?
possible. If they live in our lake, it's possible that they come in from the water supply.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, the process of filtering that they do, if it's something like a shrimp egg that has a decent shell on it, they might be able to survive whatever they do. If it's a really tiny egg, it's possible that that's how they come in as well. And the only
Yeah.
reason they're not in our actual tanks is because the fish probably eat them as they pop out.
Yeah, Jeff Kane makes a very interesting observation. He says his paramecia or his line doesn't make as large of a cloud or condensed cloud as mine. Well, that's a very good question. If that's the case, he should get some of mine because it's probably mixed with some others, and it's possible that they're competing for the same nutrients and the same food supply, and they're not growing as fast and as concentrated. So I'd be happy to ship you out, Jeff, a sample and get started with the new culture sample. And give it a try, compare it, and see if that's the issue. If not, then maybe it's something quite maybe in the process, and I recommend you watch the video again. It's the most popular video on Fish Easy. It is seeing thousands of views. Everybody's interested in how to grow paramecia for their small fry, and that particular video is a big hit. So I would recommend watching that again and trying it the way I do it and see if it doesn't help. Maybe you want.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely. I mean, that's the one thing I've noticed also with other people. Like I have seen paramecia cultures at some of my friends' houses before, and I've never seen the cloud like what you have. And I assume that it's possible that there's few things. One is that you sterilize the entire thing before you use it. Like the water is sterile. You boil the wheat berries,
Yeah.
and and your culture is propagated through that. So um, there might not be too much that's competing for nutrients in there, which could be a huge factor. I think because
Yeah.
if there's other things competing for the same nutrients, they might get out competed. You know what I mean? Or even
Hmm.
even if there's another bacteria source or something else that can eat the paramecia in small
Okay.
amounts. Do you know what I mean?
Now,
That predate on it.
yeah, I want to make a suggestion. Jeff has said he's watched my video many times. So let me suggest one other little tip, and you're only hearing it here because since that video was made, there were some improvements, and all those improvements are in the comment section of that video. So I've posted, okay, this is a little bit of an update. I use this or I use that. But the problem is, I'm not going to repost the whole video. Maybe I could do an update, but the actual suggestions down below or how I've modified it have been listed underneath. One of the things I do is when I'm putting the culture start from the old batch. So from I got the old batch that's dying out, and I want to start a new culture. I start the new culture, and actually, since it's only 10 days, the actual it's not like it's dying out. The actual culture I get the paramecia from is is probably at its prime. So then I'm going to do 3 squirts, 3 basterfuls instead of 2. So I actually add one more basterful than I do because I want it to be really concentrated at 21 days from the start of that culture. So now that's one tip. Also, the little scoops, and I put 2 of the little scoops of yeast. I put 3 now. So 3 scoops, and I use 3 basterfuls of starter, and that's how I get it completely going and at full steam, full concentration in 21 days. So if that's a tip that will help you, Jeff, um, some of these things, they came about because of experimentation, and the yeast it's remember it's 1/32 of a teaspoon
It's not a
for a
lot.
scoop.
Tiny.
So that's only 3/32 of a teaspoon.
I actually don't have.
And they're level teaspoons, right? And
Yeah.
so then when you mix it up, it looks almost milky, but it's not quite. You can still see through it. So it's not completely. What is that? That's way too big.
No, that's a quarter.
That's a quarter.
So
No, 330
so
seconds is. Don't you have Oh, I have them here, don't I?
I'm trying to find the little guys. I
My
don't have the little ones.
the little scoop.
Well, that's something we're gonna have to show next video. But it's a tiny little spoon. It's very small.
1/32 scoop is what I send people in the kit. I had some around here, but
You definitely have them at your
I
house.
know they're in the other room. I have them packed where I whenever I get orders, I fill the orders probably on Monday nights now. So if you order it tonight, I won't probably pack it until Monday night, and then ship it out on Tuesday. Well, you froze up, Malik. Must be time to end the program, or am I just talking to myself? Anybody Anybody hear me? Oh, I see the chat coming in. Yes, Jeff, I do the kit, so no problem. And for you, Jeff, because you're such a supportive individual, go ahead and buy it, and then buy it when you pay with PayPal, and I'll just refund you the money. No worries. But if you would be so kind as to, oh, guest left. I guess I maybe I left. Anybody see me? Anybody see Malik? Okay. So yeah, just post. I'll refund your money on. Not a problem. Okay, he's calling in. He must have. Okay, let's see what he says. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, he's frozen. He's trying to call me, so that must have been it. So I would like to, yeah, help you out, Jeff. No problem. You are 100% there for us, and we will get you something to play with. I have no problem with that. It's been a great evening, and thank you all for joining us. We're already 15 minutes.